What is up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. I'm talking about how to detach your self-worth from your art. Now, I want to preface this video by saying that I'm just sharing my thoughts on the matter, not an expert at this, just giving you my thoughts on it, because I struggle with this and that's why I want to talk about it. But I'm not an expert, so take it with a grain of salt. Now, detaching your self-worth from your art can be very, very challenging. When you make art, it feels very personal. It feels like you're putting yourself on the page, and therefore, if it's bad, if it turns out you feel like it turned out bad, or if other people are judging it and they say it's bad, it can feel very painful because it feels like they're not saying the art is bad, like as a separate entity. It feels like it's linked to you. It feels very like, this is me. It's not an object that I created. It's like I crafted myself onto the page. That's what it feels like. You might not think about it like that, might not think about it logically that way, but it feels like that emotionally in a lot of cases. And I've been there a lot where I feel like my work says something about me. So every time I create a bad drawing, I feel really bad. I've had many a days where I've had a very negative experience because I had made a bad drawing in the morning and then I thought about it the entire day, like, oh, what does this say about me as a human being, this and that, and you just spiral out of control because you're so attached to the work and you don't want to fall into this trap. Now, what do you do about it, right? Ideally, in the ideal situation, you would just have your self-worth as a human being completely separate, and the art is just something you make. That's the ideal scenario where you're just completely separate. It's something you do, you enjoy it, you're invested in it, but as soon as you walk away from it, as soon as you're done with the piece, it's not that important. It's something I crafted, but I'm a human being, I have inherent value. That's the ideal scenario. But I think it's very difficult to jump from being attached to your work to just jumping straight to I have inherent value as a human being. It's very hard to do that. It's something that I'm still not able to do. I think it's very hard to do that. For some people, that's natural. They've been raised that way. Maybe they're lucky with personality or whatever scenario, they understand that inherently. But I think for a lot of us, that's not the case. It just doesn't come natural to you. And I think there is one step in between that you can take before jumping to the ideal. And that step is to take pride in the process, be attached to the process of it rather than the end result, right? So what you do is, instead of saying, I did a bad drawing, therefore I have no value, judging yourself on the end product, say, I put in 2 hours of work into drawing today, and that gives me value. That being attached to the process of being in the process. That's why I track how much I draw every day, because that gives me this hope of, oh, I'll get better. I trust myself that, oh, I will get better. Therefore, even if I do a bad drawing, I take pride in being in the process, being in love with the drawing itself in the moment, and then later being in love with the fact that I put in the time, I'm actually putting in effort. So celebrating the effort of it, like, oh, I put in time, I'm proud that I did that, and attaching my self-worth to someone who has discipline to do the work every day, or however much time you have available to you, taking pride in the fact that you're trying, that you're putting in the effort, actually doing the work, and then detaching yourself from the end result of the work and just trusting that you'll get better and that you'll improve. And I've found that this helps me a lot. Every time I do bad drawing now, I try to focus on, well, I put this much time into it. I was in the process. I enjoyed it while I was drawing. This is a very common thing too, where I'll enjoy the process, but after I'm done, then I'll judge myself. So now I'm trying to take more pride in, oh yeah, I put in the time. So that's a good sign. In the future, I'll get better. And just almost blindly trust that I'll get better, just be like, have hope that things will improve as long as I put in time. Being in the process and being in love with the craft above trying to create great work at the end. Obviously, that's also important. You want to improve, but trusting that you will improve by putting time into it. I think that's the stepping stone between being overly attached to the end result and not worrying much about it. I think there's a middle step where you can just take pride in, hey, I put in time. And I think this is something that's helping me a lot, and hopefully this is something that will help you guys. Let me know in the comment section how you guys feel about this, because I think this is a normal thing. I feel like a lot of people feel attached to their work. That's why, like, in a lot of art communities, people try to be a lot nicer to each other, not be so critical, because everyone understands that this is an emotional act. But it's also important to get away from that so that you can be critical with the work. Because if you're overly attached all the time, then you won't be able to be critical and then you won't be able to improve. You want to be able to be critical without it being so painful. Because now if you're in love with the process, then if you're critical of the work, it's totally fine. It's like, okay, well, I'll just fix this because I'm in love with the process rather than the end result. And that's it for this video. Thank you so much for checking this out. If you're interested in learning how to draw, I have a bunch of drawing tutorials over on the website. Make sure to sign up for the mailing list when you're there. Feel free to subscribe and like this video if it was useful to you. Let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Huh.